Saptashishi Mahad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhujakacharya Stotra Saptashishi Mahad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBD Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga. Namo
Very good.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, The Status Quo, Chapter 13, The Appearance of Lord Varaha. And today we're doing 2 verses, text 40 and text 41. I'll read 40 straight through, and then we'll do 41 together. Damstragra kotya bhagavam tvaya jita virajate budarabu sabudara yatavananisarato datajita matangajendrasya sapatrapadmani. Translation: O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower, with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. Purport: the fortune of the earth planet is praised because of its being specifically sustained by the Lord. Its beauty is appreciated and compared to that of a lotus flower situated on the trunk of an elephant. As a lotus flower with leaves is very beautifully situated, so the world with its many beautiful mountains appeared on the tusks of the Lord boar. Text 41. Trayimayam rupam idam chasokaram bhumandalena ditajatena te chakasti shingoda ganena bhuyasa kulachalendrasya yataiva vibrama. Trayimayam rupam idam chasokaram bhumandalena ditajatena te chakasti shingoda ganena bhuyasa Kulachalendrasya yataiva vibrama. Trayimayam rupam idam chasokaram bhumandalenata ditadritena te chakasti shingoda ganena bhuyasa kulachalendrasya yataiva vibrama. Everyone can chant, please.
Trayimayam rupamidam chashaukaram bhumandalena tatadritena te chakasti shringodhaganena bhuyasa kulachalendrasya yataiva vibrama.
Hare Krishna. Trayimayam rupamidam chasaukram bhumandalenā tata dhritena te, I'm sorry. चकास्ति शृङ्खवद गणेन भूयसा कुलाचलेन्द्रियस्य यथा एव विभ्रमः.
हरे कृष्ण. रयिमय रूपम् इदं च सौकरां भूमण्डलेन नाथ दत्तात्रितेन ते चकस्ति शृङ्गोडगणेन भूयसा कुलाचलेन्द्रस्य यथैव विभ्रमः. हरे कृष्ण.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Trayimayam, Vedas personified. Rupam, form. Idam, this. Cha, also. Sokaram, the boar. Bhumandalena, by the earth planet. Ata, now. Data, by the tusk. Jitena, sustained by. Te, your. Chakasti is glowing. Shringa Udha, sustained by the peaks. Ganena, by the clouds. Bhuyasa, more glorified. Kula Achala Indrasya, of the great mountains. Yata, as much as. Eva, certainly. Vibrama, decoration. Translation. O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The word Vibrama is significant. Vibrama means illusion as well as beauty. When a cloud rests on the peak of a great mountain, it appears to be sustained by the mountain, and at the same time, it looks very beautiful. Similarly, the Lord has no need to sustain the earth on his tusks, but when he does so, the world becomes beautiful. Just as the Lord becomes more beautiful because of his pure devotees on the earth. Although the Lord is the transcendental personification of the Vedic hymns, he has become more beautiful because of his appearance to sustain the earth. Trayimayam rupam idam chasokaram bhumandalenata ditatritena te chakasti shingoda ganena bhuyasa kulachalendrasya yataiva vibrama. O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Shobharade Prabhu, just for 1 second, could we go back to text 40, please? This is just because it's something that I like, so I wanted to point it out and sort of share it. That these verses of Bhagavatam are all poetry, and of course they all, the meter is very beautiful and rhyming, but this second line of the verse struck me so powerfully as amazing poetry. Virajate Budara Busa Budara. And you could hear that Budara Busa Budara. You could hear like the rhythm of it and the consonants and the assonants, the repetition of sounds, and the repetition of consonant sounds and vowel sounds, and even the twice use of this word Budara is very poetically beautiful, and the imagery is also beautiful. Virajate Budara Busa Budara. Budara means Budhara, who lifts up the earth. That's Varaha. He's the lifter of the earth. But Budara also means mountains because that's also the mountains are supported by the earth, and that's what a mountain is. It's like lifted up earth. So the Budara, the mountains, are being supported by Budara, who is Lord Varaha, who holds up the earth. So just the beauty of that imagery and the beauty of that poetic construction really struck me, and uh, because I like poetry, so that struck me, and I hope everyone could see that and maybe appreciate the beauty of that. And actually, every verse, if you analyze it, you'll find beautiful imagery and construction and all the different ornaments of poetic construction are there. But anyway, moving on. Normally, if my general preference is I don't like to do multiple verses for class. I prefer to do just one. And even I think I told Shobharati Prabhu last month, I looked at the original schedule and it was a couple of verses. And I said, oh, I'll just do one. Can I just do one verse? Because it has a purport. If it doesn't have a purport, of course, I can understand. But it has a purport. It's a short purport, but I'll just do that one verse. And when I saw my assignment for uh, oh no, it's okay. She just sent a message saying she'll remember that, but it's okay because this is a case where it worked out perfectly. Because I looked at my assignment and I said, "Oh, it's two verses. Am I gonna have to bother her again to change the schedule?" And I read 40 and 41, and it was just so these two verses work together so perfectly and so amazingly that I couldn't resist putting them together, even though they each have purports and they could be spoken on each one individually. But the point of how they go together, which I hope will become apparent as we discuss, was so interesting and so beautiful to me. So the point is that uh, text 40, in text 40, Virajade Budra Busabudara, actually, yes, the earth became beautiful because of being lifted on the tusks of Lord Boar. The earth is already beautiful, Prabhupada says, with its mountains and everything, all the geology and the ecology, ecosphere and everything going on in the oceans and mountains and valleys and rivers. The earth is so beautiful where man hasn't, uglified it by his exploitation. The earth is already beautiful, but when it's lifted on the tusk of Lord Boar, it becomes even more beautiful. And Prabhupada comments that Vibrama means beautiful and also means illusion. And he says, just like a, um, clouds on a mountaintop, that you look at it and it looks like, oh, the clouds on the mountaintop. The mountain is supporting the clouds. And that's not actually the case because we all know clouds float up in the air by themselves. They don't need to be supported. But the illusion is that it's supported by the mountain, or the image is that it's supported by the mountain. And because of that vibrama, because that illusion that it's being supported by the mountain, it becomes even more beautiful. So the point is that the earth is beautiful, but when it's supported on the tusks of Lord Boar, it becomes even more beautiful. Because anything, beautiful, ugly, whatever, when it comes in contact with Krishna, then it becomes more beautiful, more and more beautiful by contact with Krishna, even if it has some intrinsic beauty. Prabhupada said many times, I think we've discussed this in past classes, and actually this is going back like a year ago, we were discussing also uh, in the Wednesday Chaitanya Charitamrita reading, remembering how Prabhupada said how the Western devotees in particular, anyone, but he was talking about the Western devotees, were very morose and dirty hippies and engaged in inauspicious acts. But now that they've come into contact with Krishna consciousness, they look just like angels from Vaikuntha. So things become beautified when coming in contact with the Lord. Um, let's see now. Yeah, it said Just like the Lord is decorated with different ornaments, and the pujari knows the deity is there, and you bathe him, and you applied scented oils, and you put on beautiful clothing and ornaments and crowns and turbans and decorations and jewels and bangles and so many things. But actually, someone who's been a pujari knows this. I had some experience as a pujari. It was decades ago, but I still remember vividly in Boston worshiping Radha Gopi Vallabha, that as much as I try, and it's the duty of the pujari to try, that you save money and you get donations to get beautiful clothing made and beautiful jewelry. And then after you bathe them, you, as expertly as you can, you want to, have the chutters flowing and Radharani's veil nice and, symmetrical and coming down like that, flowing, and beautiful necklace, beautified with moon locket, and you want nice flower garlands. But the pujari knows that Krishna's intrinsic beauty, before you even put a single jewel or a single stitch of clothing on him, pardon the expression, his naked beauty is already incomparable. And that those beautiful clothes and beautiful garlands and beautiful necklaces, they're only beautiful because of being used to decorate Krishna's body. Therefore, it said that Krishna actually, in material world, people put on ornaments, cosmetics, clothing to beautify themselves. But Krishna, as the original beautiful being and the most beautiful being and the source of all beauty, he himself, uh, the ornaments become beautiful by being used to decorate his body. This is a lot of nice descriptions of this. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 21, the beauty and sweetness of Lord Krishna. It said, Bhushanera Bhushana Anga, Tahain Lalita Tribhanga. Ornaments are caressing his body, but his threefold bending form is so beautiful and so all attractive that his beautiful form actually beautify the ornaments he wears. Therefore, Krishna is the ornament of all ornaments. Bhushanera Bhushana. Bhushanera Bhushana. Bhushana means decoration. So he's the ornament of all ornaments. The clothing, the jewelry, all become beautified by being contacted with him, just as the earth becomes even more beautiful by coming in contact and resting on the beautiful curved tusk of Lord Boar. We also heard last week, I think, or a few days ago, how because of the curvature of a boar's tusk, Lord Varaha's tusk, it's like a crescent moon, and the earth was situated on that crescent moon like a spot, like the marks we see on the moon. And those marks on the moon, although you could say it's a mark, it's a blemish, but they beautify the moon. And therefore we have like images like the man on the moon, or in India, they say the rabbit on the moon from these marks. But they become extremely beautiful by coming in contact with the tusk of Lord Boar. Uh, Another place where this is described, we know in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we know Krishna has 64 qualities, and of those 64 qualities, 4 of them are completely special and completely unique to Lord Krishna himself. And the last of those qualities, quality number 64, is Rupa Madhurya. That the 64th unique quality is that the beauty and the sweetness of Krishna's form is incomparable. And when Rupa Goswami is discussing this quality as evidence, he quotes actually from the third canto, from second chapter of the third canto, which we did some weeks or months ago, this verse. Yanmartya lilo paikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vishmapanam swasya chaso bagardhe param padam bhushana bhushanangam. Again, this same word, bhushana, Bhushana Bhushanangam, that Krishna is the ornament of all ornaments. That verse, the translation, the Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, Sri Krishna's transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. So the earth is beautified by being an ornament on the tusk of Lord Varaha. And Lord Varaha is beautiful because of his being an expansion of Lord Krishna. So this is one point in text 40. And why I did the two verses together, text 41, is because it turns that around a little bit. And I thought it was really wonderful. Just like in logic, there's what's called a conditional statement. And you say, for example, if it rains, then it must be cloudy. This is a conditional stated. If something, then something. But the converse of that is not always true. Like it's always true that if it rains, then there are clouds. That's always true. But it's not always true if you switch it, that if there are clouds, there is rain. So that's not necessarily true. But in this case, it is switched around and it is true that Krishna is beautified. Krishna is so beautiful that he beautifies the ornaments and the devotees and the pastimes and everything that comes in contact with him. He beautifies it. But then text 41 turns it around, that Krishna himself becomes beautified by the situation or by the situation and the devotees and the pastimes around him. And again, going back to the example of the Pujari knows that Krishna's original beauty is the source of all beauty, but still the duty of the Pujari is to decorate the body of Krishna. And he makes the ornaments more beautiful, but still the expert Pujari is still beautifying Krishna by his decorations, by his garlands. Going back to today's verse in the purport, similarly, the Lord has no need to sustain the earth on his tusks, but when he does so, the world becomes beautiful. Just as the Lord becomes more beautiful because of his pure devotees on the earth. Although the Lord is the transcendental personification of the Vedic hymns, he has become more beautiful because of his appearance to sustain the earth. So Krishna is the source of all beauty, but when out of his mercy he comes to this world, he engages in pastimes. Lord Varaha becomes more beautiful by his mercy on the world of saving the earth. And Krishna becomes more beautiful by engaging in beautiful, loving pastimes with his beautiful, loving devotees. So Krishna is the source of all beauty, and he beautifies everything that comes in contact with him. But it's also true that his devotees in his pastimes, in turn, reciprocate and beautify him. Krishna is beautified by his loving relationship, like I said Rupa Madhurya, but another quality is Prema Madhurya, that he's beautified by the love of his devotees. The sweetness of his devotees' loves, his devotees' pastimes, he becomes beautified. These are the four essential qualities of Krishna. One of them is this Prema Madhurya. He's defined as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at least partially by his loving relationship with his devotees. One time Prabhupada said, just like you have a beautiful flower, and if you put just a flower in a vase, yes, it's very nice, beautiful flower. But if you take some greenery, like these ferns and baby's breath, and you add different things around the flower, oh, then it becomes even more beautiful. So similarly, Krishna's beauty is enhanced by his loving relationship with his devotees. or his devotees are beautifying Krishna. Prabhupada said even more pointedly, at least one time he said, that Krishna by himself is not so beautiful. But when he's in loving relationship with his devotees, oh, then he becomes very beautiful. So we have to understand this properly. It's not that Krishna can ever be anything less than the sum total of all beauty, but that beauty is realized and manifest in his loving relationship with his devotees. And even the devotees can even surpass Krishna sometimes in that beauty and in that loving relationship competition. This is a very nice description from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, starting with text 188. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. That is indeed a contradiction. When Lord Krishna sees the gopis, his joy increases, and his unparalleled sweetness increases also. The gopis think, Krishna has obtained so much pleasure by seeing me. That thought increases the fullness and beauty of their faces and bodies. The beauty of Lord Krishna increases at the sight of the beauty of the gopis. And the more the gopis see Lord Krishna's beauty, the more their beauty increases. In this way, a competition takes place between them in which no one acknowledges defeat. So this is beautiful. Most of us have probably heard this section before. This competition that the gopis are the most beautiful girls in creation, especially Radhika. And when they serve Krishna and see the beauty and the sweetness and the love of Krishna, their beauty increases. Even in the material world, when someone's in love, sometimes we say, oh, their face is glowing, or they appear happy, or they appear beautiful by being in love. So what to speak of with Krishna? When they serve Krishna and love Krishna and appreciate Krishna's beauty, their own beauty and sweetness and love increases. And when Krishna in turn sees their beauty and sweetness and love increases, his love for them also increases. And when his love for them increases, his sweetness and beauty increase. And the gopis see in turn that Krishna's beauty increasing. And when they see that, they appreciate so much that their own beauty and love and sweetness increases. And in this way, this sort of ladder going up, up, up to infinity and beyond is increasing. And it's a competition. Who's sweeter? Is Krishna sweeter? Is the gopis sweeter? Up, 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 ever increasing. Because happiness, this love and happiness is not just static, that, oh, it's at this very high level and it stays there. No, because of this exchange, it's always increasing, always growing, unlimitedly growing and increasing. Krishna versus the gopis. And this is true for, like I said, Prabhupada said about the Western devotees, that, oh, before they were dirty and morose, now they look beautiful with their nice dhotis and saris and tilak, which I'm looking at my image in the camera, and I see I forgot my tilak this morning. Apologies. And everything. And he said, oh, they look like angels from Vaikuntha. So this is the nature of Krishna's beauty, that he's the source of all beauty, and the devotees are only beautiful because of their relationship with Krishna. But in turn, the love of Krishna's devotees in turn inspires Krishna, which makes him even more beautiful in turn. So in this way, it grows, it increases eternally. The beauty of Krishna and the beauty of the devotees increasing. That means that Krishna is, in one sense, dependent on his devotees for his own beauty, for his own sweetness. Just like in the Rasa dance, when we know the gopis came out to the forest and then Krishna disappeared and left them alone. And finally, when he saw how much they were in love with him, that they were going mad practically without having Krishna, he reappeared and he said, Napariyeham niravadyu samyuja. He said, your love for me is so great that I am actually incapable of reciprocating. I cannot pay you back. If you can't pay someone back, that means they've given you more than you're capable of giving them. That's what it means when you can't pay someone back. You've received more than you have to give. So Krishna was feeling like this, that the love and the beauty and the service of the gopis, he was actually unable to reciprocate. Krishna, who perfectly reciprocates, yetamam prapadyante, tamstataiva bhajamyaham. He says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. But here, this process breaks down. He's unable to reward them accordingly, he says. So what does this mean? Now, of course, this is so beautiful just to hear this and relish Krishna with his loving devotees. And there's ways in which we can apply this to ourselves. We're not gopis. My love for Krishna is like a mustard seed compared to Mount Meru of the gopis, and that's being generous. And yet, if I offer some service to Krishna, he appreciates. He appreciates it. It's also said, Srila Rupa Goswami explains, that a cow is the source of milk, but a cow needs a calf or a milkman in order to properly extract that milk from its udder. Similarly, Krishna is the source of all beauty, of all sweetness, of all rasa. Bhakti Rasamrita starts the very first line, is Akila Rasamrita Murti. That Krishna is Akila, all, Rasa Amrita. Rasa means loving relationship. Amrita, Murti, means he's the personified form of all loving relationships with his devotees. So that means that what is our worshipable deity? He's not just Krishna by himself. Again, Prabhupada said, Krishna by himself, not so beautiful, but with his devotees, then his beauty is actually there. So what does that mean? What's our worshipable deity? Prabhupada explained that devotees in deity worship always worship Krishna with his Shakti, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, and Radha Krishna. We always worship Krishna like that. Generally, as a general rule, we don't worship Krishna by himself because this is our worshipable deity. What's that verse? Now I can't remember. Someone help me. The verse from the very beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita describing Radha and Krishna are the Ladini Shakti.
Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti
Yes, yes.
Ladini.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yet Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikatir Ladini Shaktir Asmat. We don't worship Krishna by himself. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir, we worship their loving pastimes, which are manifestations of the pleasure potency. So we worship Radha and Krishna together. That means our worshipable deity is Radha Krishna, is Krishna with his devotees. We always hear and we always serve Krishna with his devotees in his relationship with his different devotees. Ladini Shakti Rasmat Ekatmana Vapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Beda Gato Tau. That they're one. Radha and Krishna are one, but they manifest as two for the sake of expressing rasa, for the sake of expressing these loving relationships. They appear as two. So our worshipable deity, although Krishna is one, Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti, that the spiritual existence is one, non-dual, but still in that non-dual situation, they still manifest apparently as two, as Radha and Krishna, because the one thing that we're worshiping is rasa, is this loving relationship between Radha and Krishna, the loving relationship between Sita and Ram, the loving relationship between Krishna and all his devotees. And because of that, the devotees become beautified by doing that, and Krishna becomes beautified by doing that. This is how devotees gain all the good qualities of the demigods. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana sarvar gunas tacha samasute sara harava bhaktasi kato mahatguna manoritena sri davito bahi. And in the commentary on that verse, Prabhupada explains, how does the devotee get all the good qualities, and why does the non-devotee have no good qualities? He explains, because Krishna is the reservoir of all good qualities. So therefore, when a devotee links with Krishna, becomes one with Krishna in love and in service, and we're all originally part and parcel of Krishna. So when that link is reestablished, then naturally those wonderful qualities of Krishna also manifest as far as is appropriate in the body of the devotees. And in that purport, he mentions all the 26 qualities of a devotee. And poetic and clean and sane and renounce and all these different things, but they're all based on the one quality of Krishnaika Sharanam, that exclusive loving devotion and surrender to Krishna. If you have that one quality, all the other qualities will come. Because a person can separately cultivate cleanliness or knowledge or poetics. I think I've told this before. Prabhupada was speaking with Allen Ginsberg, and he was describing these qualities of a devotee. And he mentioned that a devotee is kavi, is poetic. And Allen Ginsberg said, "Oh, that's very nice." And Prabhupada may have made some comment also, "Yes, poetic, you're a poet." And then he said, and another quality is that a devotee is sane. And Allen Ginsberg said, "Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I have that one." Uh, so he had some of the qualities. He's poetic. Allen Ginsberg actually was a great poet. I'll say here. Uh, but because he did not have Krishnaika Sharanam, the exclusive, fixed love and service and devotion to Krishna, he couldn't have these qualities in the same amazing way that devotees do. So when one has that exclusive devotion to Krishna, he becomes beautified. He becomes qualified because of then he has that loving relationship with Krishna. And that means give Krishnaika Sharanam, Krishna Eka Sharanam, means you're surrendering to Krishna Eka, to the one thing, Krishna, and not to something else. So that exclusive surrender to Krishna is required. Janmaishwarya Shuta Shibir Edamana Puman Naivar Hatyabitatum Vai Twam Akinchana Gochara. Queen Kunti says that only if a person is akinchana, completely devoid of all other material interests, all the different things we're chasing after in this material world, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri. We want to be in a big family, prestigious family. Aishwarya, we want to be rich and be in a rich family and have wealth and power and control. Shruta, we want to be learned, or at least be perceived as learned by our associates. We want to be seen as knowledgeable. We want to be seen as a wise person. And Shri, we want to be beautiful. And we get the Botox and the hair dye and the beautiful clothing and ornaments, which we don't beautify by our body, but rather it's a vain attempt to beautify our own bodies. But only when a person, Twama Kinchana Gotra, when a person gives all of that up, then he's easily attained. The others cannot attain Krishna, but easily attained for one who gives up all those other things. And then when that happens, then you become beautified. And then when you become beautified, Krishna appreciates, oh, look at my devotee. He's surrendering to me. And Krishna becomes excited or enthused by that. Krishna is completely self-sufficient in every way. Yet in one sense, it can be said that there's one thing that he doesn't independently own, And that is the free will of the living entities. He has willingly and intentionally and intelligently given that to all of the jivas, their free will. And he chooses not to manipulate that. He wants to help and inspire and send teachers and guru to help us, but he won't override our free will. So that when we use that free will to turn towards Krishna, that's the greatest gift, the greatest thing we could give Krishna, the one thing that he can't independently, snap his fingers and manifest. So when we do that, imagine even a little bit, imagine how pleased Krishna is. Prabhupada said about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta that if a brahmachari or temple devotee went out and distributed even just a small amount, one or two magazines or books, whatever I think they were doing the harmonists back then, maybe whatever magazines or literature they could distribute, even just a little bit when they come back, he would be so pleased and praise that devotee. So Krishna, if we do that little bit, he's so pleased. And that, not like the gopis, but that increases his beauty and love and appreciation. And we can see if Krishna appreciates us, then imagine how happy we can become that, oh my God, Krishna appreciates me. He knows me. He's reciprocating with me. And imagine how that will enliven us. And then Krishna sees that and reciprocates. It's not exactly like Krishna and the gopis. We can't presume that, but it's going on. And therefore, our worshipable deity is the loving relationship between Krishna and his devotees. So this is the beautiful situation of Krishna with us and Krishna with his devotees. And when we do that, then all the other material things, we have to work to make sure Krishnaika Sharanam, we're surrendering exclusively to Krishna. But even if we're not, if we're surrendering to Krishna to whatever degree we can, then Krishna will reciprocate. Just like going back to rasa dance. At the very end of the rasa dance, there's a nice verse I like very much. Vikrititam Vrajavadubir idam cha Vishno, Shradanvito nushinuyad atavarnayedya, Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilavya kamam, Rid rogam ashrapyanotya chirena dira. That if one appreciates the rasa dance, and what does rasa dance mean? It means the dance of rasa. Rasa means the loving relationship between Krishna and his devotees. If we hear that and we appreciate that and absorb ourselves in it, then what happens? Rid rogam ashwapinyot achirena dira. Then all the dirty things in the heart, the rid rogam means the disease of the heart, which is lust. Lust means not just sexual lust, but desire for anything separate from Krishna. That is cleansed from our heart, and the devotee very quickly becomes dhira, becomes sober, and able more and more to fix his mind on Krishna. And when he does that, that means he's developing his loving relationship with Krishna. And that loving relationship with Krishna is the object of our worship. Krishna in relationship with his devotees, including us. So what does that mean? That means in everything we do in devotional service, we're worshiping Krishna and his relationship with his devotees. Like when we chant. This is from Prabhupada's famous address on chanting Hare Krishna, which was recorded on, I think, the Happening album. This is just one line from it. He spoke, the word hara is the form of addressing the energy of the Lord. Both Krishna and Rama are the form of addressing directly the Lord, and they mean the highest pleasure eternal. Hara is the supreme pleasure potency of the Lord. This potency, when addressed as Hare, helps us in reaching the Supreme Lord. So we approach Krishna through rasa, through his loving relationship with his highest pleasure potency, the highest pleasure eternal, which is Hara, which is Radha. Just like Prabhupada's father, when Prabhupada was a child and sadhus would come to his house, he would ask benediction of them. please bless my son that he will become a pure devotee of Radharani. Because this is the way to approach Krishna, through his devotees. First of all, it's presumptuous to think that we can directly approach Krishna. Plus, it's philosophically incorrect, because we've seen that the highest worshipable thing, even worshipable by Krishna himself, is his relationship with his devotees. When we worship the spiritual master, it's not because he has the nicest Sika around, or because he looks like this, or even because he's a what's the word? Because he has some charisma or something like that. It's because of his loving relationship with Krishna. Sakshad haritvena samasta shaster uktastata bhavyata eva sadbi kintu praborya priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. That because he's Sakshad Hari, he's as good as Hari himself because of his loving relationship. Kintu praborya priya eva tasya, because he's so dear to Hari, because he has that loving relationship with Hari. Therefore, that's why the guru is worshipable. That's why we surrender to the guru. When we say the spiritual master can reveal the truth to you because he's seen the truth, what is that truth? That truth is not some just dry philosophy, but that truth is that he's experiencing his loving relationship with Krishna. And when he has that, then he can also invite us into that circle and teach us how to do that. So everything, the holy name and all our service, don't misunderstand me. We're Krishna Bhaktas. We worship Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm not arguing that. But there's a subtle distinction that how do we appreciate Krishna? We appreciate Krishna in his loving relationship with his devotees. That's where he manifests his full beauty, his full mercy, and the full opportunity for us to serve him and relate with him and advance with him, and eventually also become part of that circle of loving relationship. Akila Rasamrita Murti, Krishna is the form. The person Murti means he embodies, or he personifies all the loving relationships. And when we become part of that, then we become one with Krishna. Obviously not in the very foolish Mayavad sense, but one in love with Krishna. And then we're part of that rasa. We're part of that loving relationship. So anyway, like I said, I just like this verse so much, that how it took both sides of this question. That Krishna beautifies the devotees and beautifies the ornaments that he wears and beautifies everything around him. But when those things are engaged and those devotees are engaged in Krishna's service, they in turn are beautifying Krishna and increasing Krishna's sweetness. So even in our sadhana stage, my very neophyte stage, we could remember that as something to aspire to and something to do even in small ways. If I bring a flower to the temple and I give it to the pujari, and that the pujari puts that flower in, for example, in Radhika's hand to offer to Krishna, then we're entering into that. We're attempting to beautify Krishna, and we in turn are being beautified and purified by that endeavor. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention. If there's any questions or comments, we can discuss now. Yes, Vrindavaneshwari, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for a beautiful, beautiful class. The only thing I wanted to just reflect on is your very last comment, which was offering a flower to be placed on the altar. And having done garlands, you just brought a whole new beauteous context to that service. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, if we think about it, the opportunity and the even intimacy of that service is, in one sense, it's so easily available. If you go to a pujari if you go to the head pujari and you offer to make garlands, they're going to fall all over themselves to engage you. It's such an available thing, but such an amazing, intimate thing. Yes. Hare Krishna, Vishnu Gada Prabhu.
Thank you, Acharya Prabhu. I appreciate the class very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
One thing we were mentioning about how the ornaments are actually, you know, Krishna beautifies the ornaments, and it reminded me of Mother Jamuna when she was learning from Srila Prabhupada how to decorate and dress the deities in London, when Prabhupada was at John Lennon's estate, and he was showing her on his own small Radha Krishna deities, and she decorated. Then Prabhupada showed her how to decorate in such a way that that Krishna was the center, and all the other decorations and clothing was meant to glorify. They were glorified by Krishna's presence, and then and she wrote a book about, or she took notes, and then she wrote a book about that. So that was quite
Oh,
interesting,
wow.
I thought.
Cool.
So I think it's published, but some people say it's hard to get. I don't know. Anyway, just an
Oh,
interesting
yeah,
point,
that's
which goes,
interesting.
yeah.
I'm going to look for that, see if that's available somewhere. Yeah, nice.
And then
Yeah,
uh,
it's interesting because we always remember that Krishna is the center of everything. It's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So that's the point. But anyway, yeah, go ahead, Prabhu. I'm sorry.
and you were mentioning about those the four qualities that Lord Krishna has, and during the appearance day of Lord Balaram, which is just a short time ago, we had this discussion in another format, a different about, because sometimes it's said that Lord Balaram is exactly the same as Krishna,
Mm,
except he's different in color. So then the next question, so some devotee came up with a question that, oh, so then what about those four qualities that Krishna has that sometimes it said only Krishna has them? So then I went back to the Nectar Devotion, and it says, actually, it doesn't exactly say that only Krishna has that. It says, besides these 60 qualities, Krishna has four more, which are not even manifest in the Narayan forms of Godhead.
mm,
So we see that Lord Balaram, he sometimes plays the flute, and he has, he's got his relationship with Mother Rohini, and he had his own set of gopis and
right.
such. So one might consider that although we usually say only Krishna has those four qualities, Balaram, might say, also has some. You follow?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yet at the same time, just as still Balaram is an expansion, the very first expansion of Krishna, yet he's an expansion. So I think we could probably understand that those qualities, and as the expansion, he's so practically like Krishna. Uh, so similarly, in his expansion, those qualities can also expand with him. So in those four qualities, also well, just about like Krishna. I also there's one instance I think Prabhupada asked, who is stronger, Krishna or Balaram? And because in Vrindavan, the deity is that Lord Balaram is like resting on Krishna.
Yes, yes.
And he said, oh, because Balaram is resting on Krishna, that means Krishna is stronger, that Balaram is leaning on him. I don't remember the exact circumstance, but something like that. So as amazing as Balaram is, he's still expansion, and we understand him in relation to Krishna. So, even those four qualities could be just about like Krishna, and yet Krishna is Krishna and Balaram is Balaram.
Yes.
But yeah, that's
And
interesting.
you were mentioning about how we worship the loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. So I wondered, well, two things I wondered from this, you know, that like the Gopal deity that Madhavendra Puri found in Vrindavan,
Right.
Govardhan, which was, first carved by Vajra, and many of the other Goswami deities, they found first they were established as Krishna deities, and then
Right.
at some point, Srimati Radharani was added to this. So I don't know if you have any insight into how that worked and who made that decision, and in addition to if there's any specific way, if we're saying that we're worshiping the loving relationship between Radha and Krishna. There's 64 items of devotional service. Is there any particular way that we might do that? That's it.
Well, I'll take the last part first. Any particular way to do it? Basically, if we just follow the natural process of devotional service as given by Srila Prabhupada, then understanding and worshiping and appreciating Krishna's relationship with his devotees is automatically included in that. Just like I said, in the process of deity worship, it's Radha and Krishna, and the Maha Mantra is Radha and Krishna, and like that, it'll naturally be included. As far as the deities of Krishna without his Shakti, I don't see anything wrong or improper about that. Just like despite what I said about understanding and appreciating Krishna in his relationship with his devotees, sometimes we read about Krishna just what Krishna is. We hear about Krishna's qualities and his nature and understanding philosophically his nature and his activities. It's not always explicit that his devotees are there or having a relationship with him, just like so many prayers about the nature of Krishna are there. So similarly in deity worship, sometimes there can be a deity of, Hari Dev or Gopal, or what's he called, Srinath. So I don't think there's anything.
I wasn't intimating that that there was something wrong, that you were saying that anything wrong. I just was interested in, what was the process? How did it happen? And if you happen to have any insight into it,
the history I don't know, except as you said that with some of those deities, later Radhika was added. And is it which is the one I can't remember the temple now where there's Krishna and Radharani is considered to be their unmanifest Radharaman. You see Radharaman, you don't see Radharani there, but still it's Radharaman. So it's just like I said, sometimes like in Shastra, sometimes we'll hear about Krishna's loving relationship with his devotees, and sometimes we'll hear about Krishna's individual nature. But in the long run, it all gets tied together, is what I would say. That sometimes there's one, sometimes there's another with his devotees. Sometimes we read about the nature of Krishna. Sometimes we read about Krishna with his devotees in the Bhagavatam. But it all gets tied up in the end.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Sita Prabhu, you also had your hand up earlier. Is she still
Yes,
there?
Hare Krishna, I
Hare Krishna.
did, but the conversation that happened right now kind of covered what I was thinking.
Okay.
That's why I lowered it. Thank you.
Okay. Just reiterating, don't get the wrong idea. We worship Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we understand him in relationship with his loving devotees. And that's the perfection of understanding Krishna. So thank you very much, everybody, for your very kind attention. It's always great to get together with the Philadelphia devotees. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Vasundabhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.